Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. Amy.
Yes.
The therapist.
Yes.
I know I've always invited you for like heavy stuff. This is a lighter episode.
Is it?
Yeah, I hope you're okay with that.
Okay, what are we talking about?
I want you to talk about having teenage daughters.
Oh, God.
Is that lighter?
Do you have anything to say about that?
I was thinking, I'm like, what was on my mind was the shooting in Thousand Oaks. And I was like, that sounds like teenage daughters is actually even heavier than that sometimes.
Oh my God. Right? We can talk about
Mm-hmm.
shooters too.
No. Let's talk about teenage girls. Oh my God. It's like being on a roller coaster.
Right?
I swear to God. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. This was my question, right?
Yes.
There's three things happening at all times. Her truth,
Yeah.
my truth,
Right. And
the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm having a very difficult time getting her to the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because the only truth for her is her truth.
Right.
So where I struggle personally is my truth never counted. Right?
Right.
So it's important to me to have her truth count. At the same time, her truth is usually delusional and or psychotic.
Right.
And or unrealistic and or I was about to say something really un-PC.
Right.
No, not okay.
Misguided.
Yeah. Yes. Well, how do you manage that?
I think what's interesting is you have to train them to go from they come from a very emotional place and they don't come from a logical place, and
Right.
we seek logic, so we want answers and we want to know what occurred.
Right.
And they give us their perception of what they feel occurred,
Which is wrong.
which is not what occurred. I don't.
Yes.
So, but how wrong is it if that's how they felt it happened?
That's my problem, is that sometimes I go, that's not what happened at all. Like, here's an example. Isla, as we all have discussed previous episodes, is not good at flushing the toilet. Not her strong suit.
Right.
She has many gifts and talents. Flushing after a shit is not one of them.
Right.
So one morning they were having a knockdown, drag out fight before school because she didn't flush the toilet. So Isla's screaming to Georgia, but you didn't replace the toilet paper, which in my opinion, the last person who uses the last square of toilet paper,
Absolutely.
even if you don't even put it on the rack, even if
Just
you just
take it
sit
out.
it
Right.
where you can reach it while you're on the toilet.
Decency.
Decency
Yeah.
is almost, if not exactly the same as leaving a shit in the bowl for the next person.
Right.
So you either leave no toilet paper for the next person
Right.
or you leave shit in the bowl for the next person. It's kind of the same. So they're screaming at each other about, you didn't flush the toilet. You didn't leave the toilet paper. And I stopped everybody and I said to Isla, what is your responsibility in this? And she said, I have none. And I was like, well, that's not true. That's not true. What is your
Evidence
responsibility?
would suggest.
Right? I was like, that's not true. I have no responsibility because Georgia threw the toilet paper at me. So then therefore you don't flush the toilet? No. What is your responsibility? It took me forever to get her to say I should have flushed the toilet.
Right.
But Georgia shouldn't have And I'm like, no. Just the first part.
No, it's retaliation.
but.
It's
Yeah.
retaliation rules. That's what they live by retaliation rules. Do
But
they not?
I hate
Oh my God,
that.
yes.
Yeah. But they can't see past it.
But
That's the problem.
But how do you pick
Because life
parent
is so
it?
unfair.
It is.
So it is extracting the truth is literally you have to take them out of the situation and say, I do military punishment.
What do you
my
mean?
Military punishment is everybody goes down if somebody doesn't take responsibility.
Ah.
You're all getting punished. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So if somebody fesses up.
That's so interesting. That doesn't work in my house.
Really?
Yeah, my kids, okay. I don't know why. They fight over the front seat. Like,
Right.
who's allowed to sit in the front seat? And it is knockdown, drag out
we have
fight.
odd
And
and
I was
even day
like,
on that.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Until you guys can work out a system, you're both in the back seat. They've been sitting in the back seat for a fucking year.
That's amazing. Keep them in the back seat.
They're in the back, but like seriously, they will not compromise. They won't work. They literally will not sit in the front seat since the beginning of last school year.
But that's their compromise. And the weird
Oh
thing
my
is,
God, it's so
But
ridiculous.
here's
Like,
the weird
really?
thing. Maybe they actually want to be together because otherwise they would have found a system.
Oh no! Do you know how
wait.
many fights are in the back seat?
No, I have to intervene here.
Yeah.
Clearly you don't know her children.
Right? Seriously.
They are two of the most stubborn children, and I love them both,
But they will-
completely and dearly. But that Lily Fromkin,
Oh my God.
man.
let me tell you something.
But they want it, but they don't want it bad enough that they're willing to figure it out.
No.
Right.
A year and a half.
That's
So then the
hysterical.
It is
question,
killing me.
The question is,
Yeah.
is that a problem?
Right,
Are
like-
they willing to ride or die?
Yeah, that is their problem. They're
For how
equally
long,
willing
though?
to ride or die.
Like, because they're going to end up dead someday.
But looks like well, except before that
Someone's
happens.
going to kill them, and it might be me.
You mean someone's going to get cut, and it's going to
pretty
be
much, yes.
So here's the simple solution for that. If you can no longer stand it, then you impose a rule. It's odd or even.
We had that rule initially, and then it was like somebody didn't get picked up from school, so I got it on the way home.
Oh,
but
yes.
you didn't. You know what
Well,
I
we
mean?
play,
Like
it
there was
doesn't
this
matter.
whole, and I was like,
If it's an odd day, it's you. If it's an
Yeah.
even day,
But-
it's her. It doesn't matter if you lost your turn.
it's very true.
Yeah.
Except I couldn't deal with the argument.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear about it. Like it doesn't matter if that's the rule.
So
like
they're
I just
gonna
want to hear
argue no
about it.
matter
So get
what.
it. Yeah, they
so
suck.
they're just now in the back seat arguing about other
Yes.
crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like whose backpack is too close to the other
Right.
one.
No, but the funny thing is they want to relate to each other, but this is the only way they know how
They
right
don't know
now.
how.
Yeah.
right. I know. At
So
the
that
end
they
of
want
that,
to be they want to be entangled in some way. They just don't know how else to do it.
so it's through aggression and
But it's like-
blame.
But at least they want to be with each other. If they didn't want to be with each other, I mean, the alternative is one of them's in the front seat and does not know the other one exists. Which
Yeah,
sounds
that
great.
definitely is not happening.
It sounds great, but it's not in.
No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I would like my children to compromise.
yeah, to learn that skill, right?
Yes.
But
Because,
until the emotional maturity is there, it's not going to happen.
but so I have a feeling sometimes it never happens for people. Is
Oh,
that
I think that's true too. I think, you know what, I've really recently realized we play such a big part in it, and it sucks that we do, but we do.
As parents, you mean?
Yeah.
How
As far
so?
as not, I feel like during the day-to-day interactions, they seem to be so rote. And so, you know, did you do your homework? Did you eat your breakfast? How was your lunch? Who'd you hang out with? And we forget to deal with the interactions between them and the subtle nuances. And so recently I've noticed my older one is not being as kind to her sister. She's not being mean. She's not
Right.
yelling at her. They're not fighting, but she's not being empathic, and she's not asking her how she is, and she's not taking on a older sister role.
Right.
So I've started telling her, did you go say goodnight to her? And she's like, oh, no. So now she's gotten into the habit of going and checking on her and saying goodnight, which instead of lecturing her about, you need to be a bigger sister, you need to take care of her, she's your responsibility, you know, she's now kind of getting the hint without the lecture.
Right.
Like, will you just go say goodnight to her before you finish up your homework?
Right.
And she's like, oh, okay. And now the little one's getting the message like, oh, the older one has a little bit more responsibility. She's staying up later.
Right.
She's coming in to say goodnight to me.
Right.
It's kind of putting into place this system where it shows them where their ranking is.
Right.
And also teaches her to be tender, which has had a different, like, it's literally impacted their relationship.
That's good.
Where it's visible. So I've noticed, like, it's my responsibility to kind of come in there and make tiny little adjustments like that instead of blanket statements like, you're her big sister and you need to watch out for her. Because
Right.
that doesn't work. You know, they don't get big overarching ideas.
Right. Oh, okay.
They get in the moment, you know, what's
What-
the deal?
what
was
am I
supposed
doing?
To, yeah.
I understand. That makes sense. Well, I know in the big fight about the toilet versus the toilet paper.
Right.
At the end of it, after they...
The bowl versus the roll.
Exactly. After they begrudgingly accepted their responsibility and at the same time blamed the other person,
Yep.
when that was all over, I made Isla, I said, Isla, I need you to say one thing about Georgia that you really like.
Yeah.
And she went, nothing. And I went, well, that's not true.
That's an answer.
That's not true.
Yeah.
So find one thing, and I don't remember what she said, but it was really bullshit.
Right.
And the
Sparse.
spider, that is my older one, the spider,
Yeah.
waiting on that shit.
Yeah.
And as soon as it came up, she was like, you know what I like, Isla? I like the fact that you are so creative and that you express yourself through art in such an amazing way that it's inspiring for other people. And I could just see both middle fingers At the same time,
Extend right.
she was saying the bullshit she was saying.
Yeah.
And then Isla totally sniffed the bullshit and started laughing. And then Georgia started laughing. I was like, thank God
Right.
someone has a bullshitometer here.
That's so funny.
And you broke your own ice
Yeah.
because they were like headstrong versus headstrong. And then Isla went, oh, she's so full of shit.
Oh, so many times I feel like it's spy versus spy. They're just trying to
spy versus spy.
kill each other all the time.
Right.
And you know who's going to get caught first. And it's hysterical, but it totally feels like that.
It does.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, I don't have any siblings. So I don't,
Yeah.
I observed these things happening. My friend Becky's house, she had 3 siblings. So I observed the, throwing something through somebody's door, screaming, door slamming, parents screaming, parenting, trying not to parent, dad taking somebody's side, mom taking somebody else's side. And I saw it from the outside.
Right.
But to be in it, I'm constantly feeling like I am failing at all times, and that I'm definitely screwing them up for sure. And at the same time, when they go outside of my house, their behavior is really good.
Right.
So then I go, okay, well, maybe I'm not. But boy, when you're home, you're a couple of little assholes.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I've treated a lot of kids who the parents come home and they're like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. They don't listen. They're obstinate. They won't do their homework. I have to sit on them. And at school, the teachers are like, because parent-teacher conference season now, the teacher's like, oh my God, they're a little angel. They're so fabulous. And I said, okay, which would you rather have? Do you want them to act out in school?
Right.
Because I got some of those too. And they're not easy.
Right.
Because you cannot control them when they're at a school and you're not welcome on the premises.
Right.
So would you rather them feel safe at home and kind of let it all out,
Right.
but be great at school because that's the course of life you're trying to help them with, right? Mm-hmm. And these professionals that are working with them all day, do you want them to retaliate against them all day
Right.
and have to deal with the wrath of that and finding a new school because they're not appropriate for that?
Yeah.
They're like, no.
No.
I'll take it. Thanks.
Take
Yeah.
what you have.
Yeah. But it just means they're comfortable enough to come home and go, you know?
To let it all hang out.
Yep.
Well, the thing that back to what I said in the beginning is the 2 truths in the middle. Mm-hmm. Georgia has anxiety. Like, we've been to see a therapist to help her with, she had sleep anxiety specifically. Right. But, it's all in Bert's family. They have diagnosed anxiety disorders.
Yeah.
I don't know that Georgia has a disorder, but she definitely has that wiring.
Right.
Right. So softball comes around and she's a wreck. But she wants to play softball, but she's like crying. My stomach hurts. I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Before practice or just games?
Before a game.
Game. Yeah.
So that happens 3 Sundays ago, and I help her manage through it. It happens 2 Sundays ago, help her manage through it. 2 Sundays ago, she deflected and made it about Isla. Isla hurt her feelings, Isla this. But I knew this is anxiety about the game.
There's a pattern.
Happened last Sunday.
Yeah.
And last Sunday was the hardest time I had to get her to move forward. It took me, she was 20 minutes late for warm up because I had a really hard time getting her to move forward. And she kept saying to me, this is not anxiety. I am going to throw up. And I kept saying to her, but let's look at the pattern.
Right.
And let's look at the past 2 weekends.
Well, she's right, though. It's not anxiety at that point. It's panic.
It's panic.
Yeah. So you can help her realize, like, you're right. It doesn't feel like all the other times because it's more severe. And now it's somaticized. It's in your body.
Now it's in her body.
So you're kind of right.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's now feeling more unmanageable.
It did feel very unmanageable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Bert, who just got off a plane, had his car service dropped him off at the ball field. I had just gotten her into practice. She was okay. She did okay the whole time. Or she looked okay. She was smiling.
She was holding it together.
She was holding it together. That's perfect.
Yeah.
She wasn't her usual, like, woohoo, let's go. But she was definitely getting it done, right? She was at bat. She was fully participating, keeping it together. When she got out, I said, how do you feel? How do you feel now? Mm-hmm. She was like, the same. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking,
I'm not giving it to you.
No, you're fucking not feeling the same.
Nope.
And then when Bert showed up, he said, oh, you did the worst thing you could do.
Which was?
Tell her she's having anxiety. He said, you just need to just tell her. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't go into agreement with her saying, oh my God, you are about to throw up.
Right.
I need to help her learn
Yeah.
to see her own signals and to be able to sort of suss out, okay, this is not the stomach flu.
Right.
And I was telling her when she was having this, when you have the stomach flu, you have no color in your face and your cheeks are bright pink.
Right,
so that tells me this is probably something to do with anxiety. So you need to learn that so that as you become an adult,
You can recognize it in your body.
you recognize it in your body and you go, okay, I'm feeling these things, but I can do this. I got this. I do softball every weekend. I know how to do this.
Right.
I can manage through this, which is what I was telling her. And Bert told me that was the worst thing I could have done. That when you're in an anxiety attack, the last thing you want to hear is how to fix it. The only thing you want to hear is that, yes, you are having an anxiety attack.
Right.
And I went, but how am I supposed to teach her how to cope through it? Like, isn't that our job as parents?
Yeah.
His parents definitely did not do that.
Well, that's why it's his experience that you're not supposed to do that.
Well, they would say, just turn on the TV.
Right.
And he'd be like,
Right.
right.
Or drink something or
foaming
eat
at the
something
mouth.
or do something to distract yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
just go on out there and play.
But I mean, don't you think like if you don't validate the experience, then they can't trust you.
Right.
Well,
I do think
right.
You have to, but I think the teaching happens like on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not on Sunday.
Right.
When
The day
she's already
before.
in it. Yeah. Like tomorrow, when the game is about to start,
Yeah,
you
right,
are
right.
feeling, you may be feeling like this. Do you remember the pattern for the past 3 weeks?
Right.
Like, because that's when you're in a teaching moment. When she's in the middle of the anxiety, she can't probably
I would-
hear anything you're saying anyway.
Yeah, that's
you know?
probably true. Yeah.
And I would back that up to even the teaching begins on Monday.
Probably,
Because if it's Saturday, you can cause
constant.
anticipatory anxiety where she's
right.
like ready. Oh God, but
Here
if
it comes.
If it's Monday and it's after the game, you can say, so I'm just going to tell you something I've noticed and maybe you're going to start noticing it too. There's a pattern.
Right.
Every Sunday you get anxious,
Right.
real anxious. And I think it's linked to the games you're having.
Right.
And you're concerned and you want to do well. And there's something you need to realize. It passes, doesn't it? Because how are you feeling today?
Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you know when you start to feel like that, it's not going to last.
Right.
You know you're going to get through it.
Right.
And it's going to be gone as soon as you can blink. So just know that when it happens, we're going to talk about that. This is not going to last.
Right.
You're going to get through it.
Right.
You're going to play your game. You're going to be great. You're going to do the best you can.
Right.
And then it's going to be over.
Right.
And if, by the way, if at any time this is not something you enjoy, you don't need to keep doing it.
Right.
So you're making a choice. Be okay with it. You can, so if you help her on Monday and then she'll forget about it throughout the week.
Right.
And then when Sunday comes, you can go, we talked about this,
Right.
but then it's not like the night before, because the night
Right,
before
right.
could cause like,
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh, no.
I can feel it coming. Yeah. And depending on how dramatic they are, oh Lord, help you.
Yeah, she starts imploding. So I have to pull it out of her. Like she's got big tears in her eyes. She goes, I'm fine. I'm totally not going to cry. And I'm like, oh, girlfriend, you are in pieces already.
You're like, yeah. it's
You're
right.
like-
you're on the precipice.
Totally. And that's okay. I'm okay with you falling apart.
Yeah.
You're okay with you falling apart, actually, because we seem to get it together and we seem to move forward. So that's the learning piece from my point of view is we can't, this is what I'd said to her in the moment. We can't do anything about the fact that you're kind of predisposed to be anxious.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. The only thing we can do is learn how to cope, to learn how to take deep breaths, to learn how to stretch or jog a lap or, drink a bunch of water or whatever it is that works for you, physical, emotional, mental. We just have to figure that out.
Right.
So, but she, like you said, she can't hear it in that moment. Oh, you did the worst thing. And I was like, well, where were you, motherfucker?
That's right.
You were not here.
Yep.
And he showed up and went, oh, you'll be fine. Go get on the field.
Right.
And I
Because the
was
work
like,
was already
"Freaking
done.
jerk."
The work
Right,
was
she was already
already
there.
done.
Because for 20 minutes, I
you
got
got
there.
her there.
I got her to the point where she could go to the field.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
such a pain in the
Captain Sava. What? No.
Yeah. Kathy, what do you think is your biggest challenge with Lily? I'm going to ask you the same about Max too, so don't worry.
Well, I don't know if it's my biggest challenge, but Stephen is constantly saying, I think our daughter's bipolar. Like, And I'm like, okay,
She
can't.
is not bipolar.
I know she's not. However, she might be poltergeist. Like, it's unclear.
Poltergeist.
Possessed is totally different.
Yes.
Yeah. Possessed is completely different.
Yes.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because she is sometimes psychotic and sometimes the sweetest, most loving, normal, put together, down to earth, logical child there is. And then literally in a heartbeat, you're like, oh my God, what is happening with you? I don't even understand. It's like that raging hormones, and it's really hard to predict. Like, you try to sort of mitigate all factors. Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you like, do your clothes not feel right? Like, I don't know. Like, are your socks inside out? What is happening right now?
Right.
The OT checklist.
Seriously. You go through everything.
Yep. Are there any tags? Yeah. Right. I guess, yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. I feel like that happens. That's the part that is the hardest.
Like the mood swing, would you call it that?
Swing,
or
yes. Because literally she's in the middle of, like, you just see the unraveling. Like, she's in the middle of doing French homework and she does not like her French teacher. He's not the easiest person to deal with. He's not super clear on his expectations, and he doesn't ever tell them if they have homework. They have to figure it out afterwards. Like, they go on the online portal and check it out, and it makes her insane. Like, she can't deal with that. And I'm like, listen, we're past the first quarter. Every single day that you have had school, you've had French homework. You have to assume at this point you're going to have it every day. You have to assume he's not going to tell you. You have to assume that you're going to go online and find out. And yes, it's going to be there. This is not a shock.
Right.
It has happened every day since school has started. Why are you unraveling that this is still like that he's not meeting your expectations?
Interesting.
And then like the unravel happens. Why? I can't deal. I don't understand. I don't get this. And then it becomes, I can't do this. I don't know it.
The negative.
She's like a 99 in the class. It's not like she doesn't understand. It's not like she doesn't get it. She's fine. And she like, it's completely unraveling. And I watch it and I watch the tears and the slamming of the book. I'm not doing this. We have a third quiz today in French. Okay. You're only allowed to have 3 quizzes a week. Okay. So today's your third.
She's having.
He gives like pop quizzes every day.
That's a lot, Kathy. Every day?
That's his.
But what can you do about it? That's,
I know. It's just asking a lot of
questions. It's, I don't know.
Seventh?
Yeah, 7th.
That's a lot. That
is
causes
a lot.
That causes a lot of anxiety. But
yeah. But that's one of those things where you go, but you have to learn how to function within the context of other people's rules.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with those rules. I could talk to you forever about Isla's history teacher. Same thing.
Yeah.
But again,
at the end of the day, this is what you've been given.
Right. This is it.
No, and it's better to have a teacher like that where you can actually expect it than have somebody whose grading rubric is totally all over the place and unexpected. And, you get the 1-2 punch with like an essay out of nowhere that's graded like, where did you get this?
Yeah. And then, no, like it's fairly clear cut.
Right.
Like I can figure it out. I know she can too, but the unraveling that it causes and then the meltdown and there's no logic. Like I can't impose logic on her. And that's the hardest part. I was like, but look, this has been happening. Like why are we still having the same argument every day?
Right. It's the same thing you said earlier. They are all emotional. We're all logic.
Yes.
Right.
Why can't they have a little logic? You know how many logic problems Isla's been doing in science this year? Come on.
So here's how I see that. I swear to God, if you took a picture, if you did like a functional MRI of their brain, there's like a gone fishing pole sign on the logic section of the brain. Right? They're developing their executive functioning skills. They're not there yet. It's like, they're totally gone fishing. They are all like limbic. They're so in hindbrain. It's not even funny.
Right.
I mean, you come at them and you're like, are you hungry? I don't know.
Yeah. I know. The other day,
trying to feed you. Just want to give you, like,
to be helpful,
some options, but like, go fuck yourself. It's fine.
Right.
Feed yourself. It's
right. Well,
yeah.
Isla the other day was nasty, nasty all day. And I kept going, honey, what is going on? This is not your usual sound. Everything. She got her period the next day. And she came in and went, Mom, I'm really sorry about yesterday. I got my period this morning.
Oh, do you have them on like period tracker?
What is that?
Oh my God, it's the best thing in the world. So
What
it's an
is
app.
that?
They have like health is one, period tracker is
that what it's
another
called?
one.
Wait,
Tracker?
what?
It's called P Tracker. Oh my God, it's the best thing.
I'm
ever.
looking it up.
I put so many of my kids on this.
I have
Like,
3
not that I have
people
many
on
kids.
periods
So many
in my
kids I
house.
treat.
I got one that I can barely manage.
Period tracker right here.
Yep. So
Is it called AYSA?
no, I don't think so. It's got a flower. It's got like a pink daisy with a yellow center. And by the way, if there's any women
Oh, here
listening,
it is. Yeah, pink daisy with the yellow center.
if there's
Hold
any
on.
women listening that
this
are
one.
ever surprised about getting their period, because I can't tell you how many women I treat who come in and are like, I just don't feel like the ones that come in occasionally and they'll call me because they need an update. They're nice. That ding means something good is happening. The ones that call me that are like, I just need to come in. I don't know what's going on. And like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, when was the end of your last cycle? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, that shouldn't be your answer.
Right.
We need to know.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know.
Well,
A lot
I
of
know. I'm
people,
still on
like,
birth control. So that's
Okay,
and
but
so
see, are you on birth control?
I
Oh,
was
see,
tracking
most people-
my kids'
No, but-
periods relative to mine.
So here's what this app
Yeah,
does.
exactly.
This app is genius, and also if you're older and you're entering into the perimenopause stage, you're gonna need
Hello.
to track that shit and see that it's
That's me.
pardon my French, but we're talking about Lily's French, so I was
Yes.
So you need to track it and be aware of your body and know, like, because sometimes you'll get one that's like gnarly, like there was a murder scene, and then sometimes
Right.
you won't get it for weeks. And sorry.
No, but I'm glad we're actually
So it's
talking
important
about
to
that.
have, but so the one thing that I love about this app above all else is that
This is awesome.
well, and you can turn off. There's some features you want to turn off, like fertility and
I don't know.
ovulation.
No thanks.
But there's a notification section. So what it'll do is it'll set up a reminder, and you want to give yourself a reminder for the girls.
Yeah.
like a 5-day reminder of notification.
So then,
So you can track more than one person
multiple
on this.
periods
well,
on this.
no, they each need to have it on their phone or iPad.
I see.
And
Okay, so if she has it on her phone, how do I track hers?
well,
go on
there
her
I,
phone.
I
is
have mine in my head.
so you don't have a problem with it because you only have one girl, but although Max could have his own cycle,
might.
but because boys do have such.
Is it called the asshole tracker?
It is basically
Yeah, right?
Little boys are
Yeah,
the aggression
that's right.
tracker.
The aggression tracker.
tracker.
I mean, they get their period too, mood wise.
Yeah.
So on yours, you can actually do a buddy request and follow hers, but then you have to sign out to see yours. But you wouldn't have that issue. I could do that with both my girls. Sign out and log in under a different
right.
thing and track theirs. But you can also just say, like, can I see your phone?
Right.
And like look at it, and they'll but I love the reminder, so it tells them. And I did it to train them that, if you know you're going to get it soon, wear something at night.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the night before, because you're going to wake up and have like a problem. So, and it also just warns them like, I have soccer coming up and I need to, pack something in my bag. And,
Right. Well, Georgia
Lily's gonna
will
hate
have
this.
one day, sometime a couple days before her period, where she cries for no reason.
Yeah.
Or she just goes,
Which is
I
also-
don't know why I'm crying. I'm like, when's your period coming?
Yeah, right.
Right.
And that's another
it.
thing that I'll tell them too. Like, and they've gotten, I mean, I guess it's probably just because, if you have kids and you're a therapist, they kind of, but I'll say like, so where are you at in your cycle? And they're like, not because of my period. And then like the next day they'll get it. And I'm like, so where are you at in your cycle?
Where you at now?
Yeah. And they're like, I'm like, I'm not. And I always tell them I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to find the solution.
Totally.
So like, let's take that out of it. Like I am a human that's happy to be wrong and happy to admit it. If they come to me and they're like, what, I don't think that was the right call. I'm like, fair enough. What would be a better call?
Right.
Like I'm open to all and any suggestions.
I feel
But
like
if
I'm
you-
that way too. And
Yeah.
no matter how much I do that, I'm still the jerk.
Yes.
I'm still the jerk, right? You feel that way too?
Yeah.
So if you actually lean into it a little bit, so if they're having a fight and there is literally no logic to be had, and
Yeah.
it usually works better if you're one-on-one instead of like in the middle of the both of them.
Right.
But if you go completely immature, juvenile on them,
Yeah.
and do it's not fair.
Yeah.
I mean, just lean into it and mimic them.
Yeah.
At least what you will get usually 9 times out of 10 is like, You look like an idiot. And you're like, I know, right? And they don't get it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, I don't sound like that. And you're like, oh, wait, you do.
Right. A little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
You can kind of be the icebreaker in those situations if they're not responding to logic and they're not responding to like a calm and, you know, empathetic voice. You can flip it on them and basically mirror their behavior to the point where they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm you.
Right.
How's it feel?
How's
what
it
do you
look?
want to do with this?
Right.
You know? And they'll, at the very least, it'll stop them from what they're doing.
Right.
So,
Jar them out of it.
Exactly.
It's like a redirect.
it's like a prompt.
Yeah, like a prompt.
Gentle prompt.
A gentle prompt.
They hate mimicry.
Or maybe
you know?
not so gentle.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works.
It's a fun prompt.
Fun
Yeah.
for us.
But right.
That's the
Not so
hard
much.
part is that it is really hard, I find,
To be the mature one.
to be the mature one,
Yes.
to be the adult,
Yeah.
not the parent.
Right. The adult.
The adult
Yeah.
every time. Sometimes I just want to just go fucking do it because I said so.
Right.
Which is
Right.
a parent.
Or just go fuck off.
Right.
Yes.
Or
The short
yeah.
version of that.
You figure it out.
Right.
Oh, well, everything's mom's fault. I call myself jokingly, and everybody agrees that I'm the sheriff of wah wah.
Right.
Because I'm always the one that's like, nope, we can't go to Minchie's at 8:45 p.m.
Right.
It's bedtime.
Right.
Oh, come on. And Dad's always like, oh, come on.
Well,
I'm like,
yeah, that's because your deputy's gone rogue.
My deputy is Roscoe Pico trained.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He's totally not he's stupid.
Right. He's got the monkeys are driving that train. you know?
Yes, he's the worst.
Let's
The
go.
other-
Yeah.
The other day, Georgia was still having some anxiety. She's still having some tummy trouble because there was girl drama that she wasn't involved in, that she didn't know I knew about. And I knew that was going on. And I was like, listen, why don't you go to school, give it a shot. And if you can't do it, I will come get you. But I'd rather you try
Right.
than just not even try. So I got her, she's dressed, she's putting her backpack on her back, and Bert comes out and goes, man, my stomach's hurting. And Georgie goes,
Oh, my God.
me too. And he was like, well, if your stomach feels like mine, there's no way I could go to school. And I was like, fuck.
Are you kidding, Bert?
Fuck. I just spent 30 minutes getting her head straight to try. And he went, I don't think you should go today. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you.
Are you going to stay home and watch her?
Kill you. It was last Friday.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to stab him. I was so angry at him. He totally sabotaged all the parenting, and she leaned fully into Dad.
Sure.
So for me to have pulled her off of Dad would have been a massive sheriff of wah wah.
Right.
And I was like, I can't deal with it.
Uncle.
I'm done. I have parented my ass off today. And that was one day where I thought maybe I should have fought with him and made her go.
Right.
But I just was done.
My temptation would have been like, guess what? Now you're driving her.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work with him.
Like
work with him.
your stomach hurts and her stomach hurts. Have a nice ride out there. Take a Tums.
Yeah. Just kind of pull off and shit at every other Trader Joe's along the way or
Right,
something,
right.
whatever.
Oh my God.
So what is your biggest challenge with Max? I don't have boys, so. Is that the question I asked about Lily? Challenge?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Let's see. What is my biggest challenge with him? I think with him, it's more about, I don't want to say maturity, but I guess it's like a sense of like effort, responsibility. You know what I mean? Like he's super invested in school in like one moment, but like not enough to carry him over. Do you know what I mean? It's like that long-term stuff he doesn't get. You know, like I can turn in my homework today, but I don't need to study because the test is not until next Friday. So I'll study on Thursday. And you're like, it's 9 chapters. How do you not study a little bit each day? And I feel like that's the constant, like there's no foresight. There's no like...
There is foresight. I know I have a test.
Yeah, but it's not like important.
There's no executive. That's what I'm telling you.
It's true.
Gone fishing in the
yes.
executive functioning skills department.
And I know that, but but you can't also just let them not study ever.
I went to
like,
a
you know, like I
conference.
feel like I have to say something every once in a while.
And I went to a conference and what this lady did, I loved. She got them like a big at a glance calendar, one of those big honking
Like the big
suckers that
desk
go-
size? Yep.
And they go on the desk.
Yeah.
And she makes them write down when all their tests are in different colors. So math is red,
Yeah.
whatever color they want. And then she says, back it up one day.
Yeah.
And write down study math in that red color. And then back it up 2 days and write down study
We
math
do the
in that
whole
color.
breakdown.
But-
like
but
20
then on
minutes
that
today,
day-
we're going to do this chapter and this chapter. We're
Yeah.
going to do this. We're going to do this. But it is like,
Does he do it though?
he does, but it's a battle.
Right.
I'm
But
like,
is
but
he-
it's here. Like, look, this is what we're doing today.
Right.
Like, this is how you need to study. This is whatever. I don't
Is
want
he
to.
writing it down?
No.
See, that's part
And
of
we
it.
do it together, and I write it because it's not legible if I don't write it. And it'll never
okay.
fit in the box.
Okay.
But talk about OT issues. So I write it out for him, and he gets...
By the way,
He's actually excited about it. Like,
the
he
opposite
needs
of that, just so you know, which I know that can be a pain in the ass, but the opposite is just
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What-
No, he's not.
What are you doing?
the
Wait.
perfectionist child.
Oh,
Like
oh,
she
yeah,
might,
yeah.
you know, she's got the out of the box where you have to write it, but the perfectionist child, the parent's like, just give me the pen. Like, I'm just
Right.
gonna write it for
Do
you
it myself.
because I can't wait 30 minutes for you to write down. You have a math test on Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So either way, they're procrastinating, doing
And
the
I have
inevitable.
to say, he's actually gotten better. Like, he has this massive essay due on the 20th. And the whole rubric is broken down. She's checking it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, so I have to have 3 pieces of evidence for 3 paragraphs. I'm going to do 3 today, 3 tomorrow, 3 Sunday. And I was like, okay,
Getting there.
that's a great plan.
Yeah.
Can we just think for 1 second that Friday after school, you have plans.
That's
We're
it.
probably not going to do it on Friday. So why don't you do it today, on Thursday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday?
Yeah.
Like, and you would have thought I asked him to rip out his teeth.
So
I mean, I don't know.
Here's the funny thing with that, and that extends into so many different areas with the kids, is I already showed you I excelled at something. Why are you asking for more?
No, just consistency.
But-
I mean, I guess that
But
is
he
more,
had
but-
3 days planned out.
Yes.
Why is that not enough, Mom? And like, of course, logically, there is something on Friday, and he didn't think about that. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's like, great. You know, you ask them to clean their room, they start cleaning your room, and then you're like, can you make sure you brush your teeth? Oh, you didn't know that was also a requirement that was at the same level?
Right.
Right.
For 14 years.
Right.
Like, all of
It
a
is a
sudden.
surprise to you that we want you to do that. I'm so sorry. Should I make a list? You know,
Right.
like, but yeah, it's this like, I've already put in the effort that was required. Why are you asking for more?
Yeah.
You know, it's like this indignant kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's a
Isla
huge
has
challenge.
I have very similar experience with Isla. That's not my biggest challenge with her, but that is my challenge with school with her. Is that anything, you know, something shifted when she moved to 7th grade, and her ability to keep any form of organization consistent is gone fishing.
Right.
It's gone. Like, and I have been working so hard with her to try and find a system that she'll accept.
Right.
And she will accept no system that I present.
Right.
And she will not come up with a system on her own. So we continue to be in this black hole of papers everywhere in the wrong folder, in the wrong notebook. So I just kind of went, yeah, you don't get a say anymore because I've been trying to give you a say since August and you're not doing it. So here's what we're doing. And I've got her system. But at the same time, I feel like I'm kind of doing her a disservice because I'm doing it for her.
Right.
And I don't want to be that person. I don't actually agree with that parenting, yet I am doing that parenting.
What is the system you came up with?
It's not super complicated. She has one folder.
Right.
She has 6 classes, 2 of which one is a study hall and one is yearbook. She doesn't need to keep any paperwork for those. So
Right.
essentially she has 4 academic classes.
Right.
2 classes go in this pocket. 2 classes go in that pocket.
Right.
I recommend that she puts the first period in the front of that pocket and the next period in the back.
Can I give you a
Next-
suggestion?
And the next. Yes.
They have a folder at Staples that is like 6 sections.
She does not want that.
She doesn't.
Nope.
It's a tiny folder. It's not like a notebook. It's a folder that's got 3 pages.
Like the crossover thing. Yeah.
It's like
I
this.
can try, but I tried to give her.
And I label them
Yeah, I labeled them
English.
too.
math.
Yeah, I
and
did
then
that too.
all the important things that you
Everything
need
goes in there.
And then if you forget a notebook, whatever, doesn't matter because all your important papers. Right
preaching
there.
to the choir.
Yeah.
You are preaching to the choir. These two pocket folder, right?
Right.
And this side says on the pocket, science, English.
Right.
This side says on the pocket, world history, math.
Right.
Even if you can't get it in the order, like
Right.
science
It
is
doesn't
first
matter.
period,
Right.
this is third, at least put it, it's all over the place. I've at least gotten her to get it inside that folder. So everything
That's
is
huge.
in that
Right,
folder
right.
now. She can't keep it organized, so she forgets to turn things in
Right.
because she remembers the system, but she can't adhere to the system. So she opens it and goes, oh, there's no science, not realizing she's put science in the world history place and doesn't look through all of her papers and refuses to keep science over in the left side pocket. So then constantly turns her shit in late. And I go, I don't know what more I could do for you. At this point, you're just gonna have to fail.
Right.
Because I've set you up to succeed and you're refusing to comply. So I can't help you. You know, I don't know what else to do. I'm not going to go to school with you and go, did you check that folder?
Yeah.
Remember, it's in the left-hand pocket in the front.
See, that's one of the greatest things about the 5 pocket or 6 pocket one is that if you turn to it and there's nothing in it, but yeah, you're right. You have
but
to
if she
put it-
doesn't put it in there,
But so the night before,
Doesn't matter.
It could be telling her the night before, Isla, let's look through your folder.
I do that. And she goes, oh,
Yeah, well, either that.
I've already done it.
What's the consequence if she gets a bad grade for not turning it in?
That's a hard one. She loses her phone
Does she respond to losing her phone?
sometimes. You know, her currency since she was a toddler
Yeah.
changes with every punishment.
Yeah.
Today it works. Tomorrow I got to find a whole new currency.
Yeah.
That currency works one time. Got to find a whole new currency. And I'm like, mother of all that's holy. Oh, she'll get rid of that for a day.
Yeah.
If she doesn't have to look through her folder, no problem.
So fun.
No candy. Okay.
Right,
No soda. Okay. Not that she has soda maybe once a week.
right.
But okay. No friends over.
Good
Okay.
deal for one day, yeah.
I got it. One day, no problem. How about a week? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because you know why that doesn't work?
Why?
The whole week thing or month thing. Doesn't matter how long you say, because they have no foresight.
Yeah.
Because they can't,
Right,
they can't
right.
imagine in 3 days, 4 days what it's going to be like. They only see it today.
Now,
Yeah.
Georgia, I have currency. Georgia, I have a consistent currency with her. She's super easy at that. Isla's been that way since birth.
Yeah.
Where the currency, so I remember parenting her and going, I have no currency. Like
Yeah.
I've used every single trick. The only currency I have left is like to hit her. And I'm not going to hit her.
Right.
So what do I do? She's just, I mean, that's part of, I think, her dyslexic brain is she just finds a workaround.
Right.
Oh, you're going to take that away? No problem. Then I'll draw.
Right.
You know what I'm going to do? Draw a circle in the middle of a room and say you will stand in the circle for 24 hours? That would be the only punishment I
still.
could think of, right?
There you go.
But I have that. My biggest concern with Isla is her inability to see that she has a responsibility in something she has done wrong.
Yeah. It
If
is a
she-
big one.
It's a big one. If she hurt her sister's feelings, it definitely was not her fault.
Right.
And I have to parent and parent and parent. And I almost never feel like I really get her to feel that she has done something wrong.
You know where that works?
Where?
Is if they have somebody they respect, it's better in elementary school, but in middle school, they'll sometimes have like a teacher they respect or at least fear. Mm-hmm. You put them in that position. So if you were using the bathroom at the teacher's lounge at school because all the other bathrooms were closed, would you have left that pile in the
Right.
toilet?
Right.
No. Why not? Why are you leaving it for your sister? So you're choosing
Right.
to leave that for her.
Right.
I mean, it's putting somebody else in that role. Like, I mean, that was one of my favorite questions ever. Like, would you do that to Mrs. McDonald? Would you do that to, whoever,
Right, right.
And they're like, no, never. And you're like, so then you had a choice.
Right.
So then you made a calculated decision to hurt your sister.
Right.
You know, it kind of, it gives them the understanding that they had a responsibility and
Right.
they relinquished control at that moment and decided that they were
Right.
just gonna fly. you
Yes.
know? Yeah.
I have used that before, but I don't always remember it in the moment.
Yeah. It's
You know?
hard to remember it in the moment.
I have used that in the past. It actually worked recently, the day that Isla hurt George's feelings about softball, I had said to Isla, how would you feel if you had played softball all year and your sister said, yeah, I don't want to go. It's
Right.
boring. That hurt your sister's feelings. How would that make you feel? And she was like, pretty bad. But it was, I'm dead inside. I'm
Right.
going to answer this question. It's not going to touch me.
Right.
But it did.
But also, like, what if you're, give them a friend, give them the name of a friend instead of like, how would you feel? 'Cause
Yes.
it's harder
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them
yeah.
to perceive it with themselves.
Right.
But like, how would you, would you say that to your best friend?
Right.
No. Well, okay.
That's a good idea. I'll do
Yeah.
that. Replace her.
Because they're more apt to take the bullet for themselves, especially if they'll fall on their own sword if they know that they're not going to give in
For their sibling.
for their sibling, right? I mean,
Yes.
don't you see that happen?
Yeah. They're like such assholes to each other. Like they're meaner to their sibling than to anyone
Anybody
Oh, yeah.
else.
It's
100%.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ugh.
100%.
It's annoying.
Yeah. No, and if that doesn't work, you can borrow guilt, Jewish guilt. When I die, I want to know that the two of you are going to take care of each other.
Oh.
Mom, are you dying?
It must be Catholic also.
yeah,
is.
no,
It's
yeah, and then they'll
completely.
call you. Are you dying? Every day, a little bit.
Every day a little bit.
Every day.
Bert says that all the time. The whole point of having a sibling is that you take care of each other. When Mom and I are gone,
Right.
you are all you have left.
Yep.
You have to. He gives them that speech all the time. That's his little ditty.
Yeah.
I don't really do that. I try to like, I don't know. He does that though.
Yeah.
Now with Georgia, my biggest challenge is getting her to tell me really what's wrong. Mm-hmm. She'll say, I have a splinter in my finger. And I go, that's not fucking it.
Right.
Who do you think you're talking to? Did I just fall off the turnip truck? I did not. It's not the stuff that, no. So what is it? And she never wants to say what it really is when she's really hurt.
Yeah.
Now, if she's like sort of hurt or aggravated or annoyed or that was rude, totally hear it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's really hurt, she usually tells me the wrong thing.
Yep.
And then I have
Try
to
to throw you off track.
She does.
Yep.
And I go, I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I know
right.
that's not what it is. So now we got to keep digging.
Right.
Now we
And
gotta
then
keep
when
digging.
you're digging and they're like, just leave me alone.
They are. That's right.
Yeah.
That is my challenge with her.
I do not want to feel the pain that you are trying to make me go feel.
Right. But
Yeah.
you can't.
So you
Deal
know
with
what?
it.
There's a good visual for that. I mean, I know they're young, so you have to be careful who you're using it with. But I tell them, when a doctor goes in, when a surgeon goes in to take something out of you that shouldn't be in your body, whether it's a tumor or it's a sponge that they left in or whatever, whatever they got to go get. I said, you ever play Operation? You got to get all the pieces out. If you don't
Yeah.
get all the pieces out, he's a goner, right?
Yeah.
So I say when they go in, they're going in to excavate all the bad stuff. If you take out half the stuff, is it a success?
Right.
Not so much.
Right.
So, you're already in pain. The only way to get that pain out is to divulge it and to take it out and put it on the table and choose to kind of look at it and leave it there. But if you keep it inside, even some of it inside, it's just going to fester.
Right.
It's literally a process of taking it out, getting it out of your body.
Right. That's a good way of presenting that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way to make it scientific.
Georgia could probably wrap her head around that.
Yeah.
She probably
And she's
could.
the one who's like, no, it's mine. It's my
Yes.
little nugget of pain I will keep with me.
She, I don't know what,
It's privacy.
is that it?
Yeah. It's privacy. And I think it's also, there was in that Untangled book, which I love so much.
I got to read it again.
I was thinking that the other day. I
Yeah.
was like,
have to read it again. Me too.
Yeah. Let's
I was
read it
screaming
again.
at my
Discuss.
children, and I was like,
Well, I'll tell
I
you, there's a better
understand
one.
what's happening.
There's
for
a better
me
book
and
than that.
for them, and
Well, with the screaming at the children,
Yeah.
dial down the drama, but it's really based in daughters. So it's not, I mean, I think it could definitely still apply to Max, but
I definitely got stuff out of there for him too,
Yeah.
even though it's all about girls.
Yeah. So dial down the drama is another one that is kind of fantastic about, I don't want to boil it down to like taking care of yourself so that you take care of your kids, because that's so rudimentary and that's not really everything it's about, but it's really about how to just not engage.
Interesting.
which, but to engage, but in a way that doesn't feel like you're coming at them head on.
Right.
Which is, it's a great book. It's a good read, and she's very funny and self-effacing. And, she's like, try this little trick because it works for me like half the time, but shit, let's try it. She's
right?
very, it's very cute. But it reminds me of Untangled, where, they talk about the parents being on the outside of the pool and the kids being the adolescents that are learning to swim, and then they come and they kick off from the edge of the pool, and we're what they kick off against, to get back into the middle. It's that struggle of, this is mine and I should know, I got it.
Right.
I got it. And you're like, yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, but I do,
But I
so
think
it's that struggle.
They a lot of times know they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They just want to have it.
Right. So it's developmentally appropriate that she's doing it.
Right.
But it's frustrating. It's so frustrating because
Yeah.
you can help, and sometimes it's better to just say, like, I know you think you got this one, but maybe this one you need a little help with so that you can better get the next one by yourself.
Right. That's a good way to put it too.
So that way it kind of gives them permission to hand this one over, but not the next one.
Right. Yeah. I need to
If
they're
they're
book
willing.
again. I've read that book before either of my girls were fully in it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like Georgia just got in it. She's always been a late bloomer.
Yeah.
In that kind of developmental way, where she played with dolls longer than any other of her friends.
Yeah.
She's not boy crazy that much, really, where her friends have been boy crazy for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And she's just starting. She seems to be appropriately late.
Right.
Not inappropriate. But I like that. But Isla seems to be almost at the same place she is, where the emotional, with the stuff that I remember in that book, I was like, oh, Isla's already there.
Yeah.
Georgia's just got here like end of 8th grade.
Right.
So, and I read the book so long ago that I think I need to read it again.
Yeah.
So that, because I'm in the thick of it.
She's writing another one too.
She is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her book.
Yeah, I did too.
I listened to it on audiobook, and this
Yeah.
time I think I need to read it.
Yeah.
I do better with reading.
There's another one that just came out that I like called The Self-Driven Child.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Which is a faster read.
Faster than Untangled?
Yeah.
Untangled was pretty fast. What was
Yeah.
the other one? Down the drama?
Dialed down the drama.
Okay.
Are you writing these down, Halston?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank God.
Okay, I'll put them on my website. I'll put a link.
Yeah, and I get nothing for that. Just so you know, like, they're
I don't
really
think I do
because I
either.
have read the books and they were helpful to me and to the clients
Right.
that I serve. So just FYI.
So do you feel, are you okay
hate
if
when
I
people sell
ask
stuff and
you what your challenges is with your kids? We don't talk about your kids that much.
I would say with my older one, it's definitely the privacy thing. And also the friend drama.
Oh, she has friend drama?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's got one kind of real exciting one who it was very interesting. Wade and I, we were looking at this and we were like, this is going to be taken care of with a 1-2 punch, because she had a boyfriend.
Who had a boyfriend?
Your daughter?
The older one.
Your daughter had a boyfriend?
Well, she had a love interest.
Uh-huh.
He was hot and heavy for her. We told her she wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend.
Wait, she's in 8th grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
We told her she's not allowed to have a boyfriend, so she's got a friend who likes her. As
Okay.
far as we're concerned.
That's a boy.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
But he really liked her a lot. And I think she liked him too.
Yeah.
And then she had this friend who was just all over the place, emotionally dysregulated. She just really poor parenting, like poor parenting, to the fact where like anything the parents said was going to happen on a play date or get together didn't happen. You know, they were supposed to be there. They weren't there. They were going to take them home from something. They Ubered them home without telling me. Like, so as soon as that happened, it was like, you're never going over there again. If she wants to come over to our house, she's more than welcome to. But so she's a loose cannon, this kid.
Right.
And of course, the only game in town as far as my daughter was concerned. Like, this is her BFF and da-da-da. So I sat back and I watched. I'm like, this is going to go south so fast, because this girl needs a lot of attention, and she's living off the fact that my daughter had this boy who liked her. And I was like, here's what's going to happen. Wait, now we're sitting there going, this is how this is going to play out. She's going to want so much attention. She's going to want the attention of the boy that likes my daughter. and she's going to get in there and get her paws in there, and that's going to break up, and then my kid will lose both at the same time.
Oh,
Sure enough, the girl's still talking to the boy, and my kid's not talking to either one. And we're like, okay, great. So now she's moved on to other people, and she's not talking about how hurt she is. And meanwhile, she's gotten an invitation to go to his bar mitzvah, and she's like, do I say no? Do I say yes? I'm like, sit on it. You don't have to respond yet. Sit on it and see how you feel. You don't have to making a decision is dramatic. You don't have to make a decision right now.
Right.
Just sit on it. And, I'm trying to teach her. It's like a great teaching experience, but, of course she wants to be liked. She's a 13-year-old girl. She wants everybody to like her. She doesn't want to be the object of anybody's, service or upset, but she's just at what cost, So I'm trying to teach her things like, all of her girls who want to get into the drama who don't have a boyfriend yet are like, let's make a hate group on Snapchat about him and name it, after him. And some of them have done it without her permission. And I'm like, so I'm confused. Do you want to think about him all day? And she was like, no. And I was like, then why are you letting him rent space in your head by celebrating the fact that you're not together with these like hate group chats that you have with your friends? Like, is it because you want your friends to continue to have the discussion because it's exciting for them? And she was like, I don't know. I'm like, well, okay, let's think about it. Like, why are you engaging in this?
Right. What are you gaining?
What are you getting? And she's getting, the conversation is continuing with these girls who she hasn't been talking to in a while. It's hard, it's hard for them to navigate. And,
it is.
Meanwhile, I'm just happy she had like a nice relationship. It was her first boyfriend. He wasn't a bad kid. It didn't end terribly. Mission accomplished. It was like, it wasn't some player who set her up for some,
He just was a sucker that got grifted by this other chick.
He totally did.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And
yeah.
Have fun with that.
And good, that girl showed your daughter who she really is.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was very interesting. This kid is very interesting. She's done it a few times before, but Sydney needs an instruction booklet before she believes it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's whereas, Charlotte's like the savvy kind of like, oh, I got that. I got your number. You don't need to show me again.
So I didn't get to ask this, but I'm going to ask you this. Maybe we can go back and revisit. Long term into adult, what does that look like? Does it look like nothing that we've learned through that and now we're cool? Or what does that look like as they mature out of this psychotic, gone fishing phase of life? Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting.
What does that look like later?
The privacy problem or I think that's why we as parents try and get in there and find out like what's going on because we're afraid of what it's going to look like later.
I don't know about afraid. I'm curious. I am a troubleshooter.
Yeah.
I am okay, but when she's an adult, what does that mean for her behavior?
Right.
What's she going to be doing?
Right.
I see my lack of responsibility. If she weren't in such a social circle, she'd be in jail.
Except,
you know what I mean?
Except oddly, no, because like Kathy was saying before, like it's almost like you have to do it for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden life becomes the bigger teacher, right? It's like you have to help him make sure he's mapped out his stuff and tell him, you've got a date on Friday, we're doing this, and so you have to tailor that. And what ends up happening from what I have seen is, next time he has a test, he goes, wait, Mom, do we have anything on Friday?
Right. He actually said something fascinating the other day. He was like, so when I go to college, how am I going to figure out, like, how do I manage friends and family and video games?
You're like, well, first of all, family's not coming with you.
But like,
priorities.
Well, we are still 14. We're still fishing most of the time. I think so, actually. But he was literally like, I don't know, like, he was really like, how do I make all of it? Yes.
But nowhere in there was education.
Not so much.
Right.
No.
Well, no, but that obviously came with college. That was the big,
that was the given.
That was the given.
Like, how do I have enough time to put energy into all of these things?
What did you say to him?
I said, I was like, listen, that's a really good question. That is something that you are going to have to learn over the next few years. And it's going to be a struggle. You're not going to get it right the first time.
Right.
You're going to mess up. Right. And it'll be okay. And we'll fix it. And it'll be
Because
fine.
once you're in
But
college, we don't care so much about what happens.
once you're out of my house, forget it.
Or no, once you've gotten in, right? You know, like once you've gone
Once
through
you have
that
the
process,
acceptance letter.
like, yeah, hell yeah, go do whatever you're gonna do. Let the college counselor worry about it.
All right. You're on your
No,
own.
but and I would later on, I would go back and say something to him and just say like, you know, Max, I'm so impressed that you were thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because that shows such
See, it's a double-edged
amazing-
sword
yeah.
because he's terrified about that life. Like
Right.
anxiety like I think I said this before. When he graduated 8th grade, they had this whole like pinning ceremony or whatever. He walked out of that ceremony and was like in tears. Oh my God, everything counts now. And I'm like, okay, you can't go through high school being completely stressed that every grade is going to be bad or whatever. Like
Right.
that's not realistic. Like you have to live your life. So he's terrified about that. And it's clearly on his brain way more than any of us really realized.
Right.
He was upset that he didn't get into a school because they had 100% college acceptance rate like a few years ago.
Right.
I was like, dude, you're in 6th grade. Relax. Like, why are you even thinking about college? You're 12, for God's sake.
You know what I would say to him?
So
though?
I don't want to like engage. I don't want him to be anxious about it, but it's obviously an ongoing discussion.
But then you have such a good assured kind of voice. You could tell him like, hey, you know what? The fact that you're even thinking about this is so genius because it tells me it's not going to be as big of a struggle as you think.
God, I hope that's true.
But it is. He's already thinking about it.
Yes,
and,
he is.
And it's going to be like, I don't know if you've ever seen that game. I forget which one it is, but it's like the board with all the marbles, and the marbles are on top, and you have to kind of shake it and move it, and like all the marbles go down into the hole. You know, it's
I
like
don't know what that's called, but
Have
I
you
know
ever
what
seen
you're
the little ones they give you, like the dentist office with the little
yeah.
teeny
Yeah.
balls, and you got to
Oh,
get
yeah,
them into
yeah.
that same
The
principle,
slots,
right?
yeah.
So it's as each ball kind of falls into place, the roadmap gets so much clearer for them. Right now, it's like somebody shook it and gave it to them, like, here, have fun, right?
Good luck.
It's like giving an OCD person a bag of colored M&Ms and going, separate.
Separate.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I can't, it's too much. Yeah. So it's really all about going like, oh my God, Max, look at you. You're like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but I'm not worried about you.
Right.
Because you're already thinking about this. That means you actually care. I'd be more worried about the kid that didn't care at all.
Yeah.
So take a breath because you're already showing me that you're going to be great because you actually care about what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like that's the dichotomy though.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
he does think about that. But then
He
when it comes
cares
to the
too
test,
much.
he's like, fuck that shit.
Right,
I'm
right.
not studying until
Yeah.
Thursday. You're like, really? But
Because
that test
in
will
the
mean you
moment-
get into college or not get
Because
into
in the
college.
moment,
Yeah.
it's not the connection. The bridges
not.
are broken.
He's gone fishing.
Yeah,
is
I'm
totally
telling
fishing.
you, it's gone fishing.
He's
While
No,
I reel
he
this fish in, can you
Yeah.
tell me
He's
what happens to
Fortniting.
Fortnite in college?
Right. Oh my
He's not fishing. He's Fortniting.
He's Fortniting.
Definitely.
He's gone Fortniting. Is there fishing and Fortniting?
Yeah, who the hell knows? There might be.
Who knows?
No, there's a lot of parachuting.
As it was your challenge with your 6th grader.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, she's going to be in the FBI, I think, when she's like in 11th grade.
Why?
She's just so beyond me. It's very difficult to keep up with her.
What do you mean?
Well, well, let's just put it this way. I remember when I took them both to the doctor, and I think my older one was 8, so she was 6. And I had my older one in my lap, and I was stroking her hair, and she was like looking at me like, I think they both had the flu. And I took my phone out and I unlocked it, and I had a lock on it. I always have because of client confidentiality. And
Right.
I unlocked it and gave it to her to play a game. And she goes, oh, mommy, is your code, 4422? And I was like, yeah. I said, did you see it right now when I unlocked it? And she goes, no, Charlotte told me 2 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
She was 6.
Oh my gosh.
She had the code. She told her sister. She never told me. Then I said to Charlotte when she came back in from getting her test, I said, so you had the code on my phone for 2 months and you didn't say anything? And she said, uh-huh. And I said, mommy's going to get that new phone with the fingerprint. So you can't do that anymore. And she goes, I'll just do it when you're sleeping. She didn't miss a beat.
Oh my gosh.
Not a beat. Okay. She is just, talk about a workaround child. Mm-hmm. She, and God willing, she uses her powers for good and not evil. But
She will.
there
She's
are
really
so
sweet.
there are so many things she does where I'm watching a movie with her. I watched like Sherlock Holmes with her, and there was some dialogue between the two characters, and it's a pretty like, they speak in accents, you know, it's the Robert Downey Jr. version. Like it's very fast moving, and it's very highbrow humor. And one of them said something, and I paused and I was like, did you understand that? And she's like, yeah, he's totally making fun of the police inspector. Cause you know, the police inspector said something like, you know, in a former life, you would have been a good criminal. And he goes, in a former life, you would have been a great police inspector. And he already is one. And so she totally got it. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're following everything. Yeah, no, I mean, she's it's pretty funny. Like, I hope they never watch this, but she's definitely has a different capacity for catching things in life than her sister does. Her sister's, and I think it's going to serve each of them in a different way.
Of course,
I think Sydney is very like innocent and in her bubble, and it's great that things can zoom by her head that would have otherwise been a barb.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Charlotte's very like, you know, she is hyper aware of things, and she can see what's going on over here and over there. And she's got a much thicker skin. So she's like, whatever, be who you are. It's not going to affect me.
Right.
You know? So it's just interesting. So I think the challenge with her is going to be, you know, if she chooses to use her powers for evil and not good, I'm screwed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like if she wants to sneak out, if she want, you know, like it's going to be those kind of things, you know, like kind of setting up the traps to catch, like, you know,
a criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. My younger child is like that
Yeah.
too.
I mean, it's crazy how they can show you how crafty they are.
It is. You know, Isla has such a hard time in school grasping abstract concepts like science or history. You know, something that you can't. History is like storytelling / people you don't understand or know. Like, who are the Huns? I don't get it.
Right.
So hard for her. But I'm reading Pride and Prejudice aloud to them.
Really? I love that.
And Isla is the one that's laughing at all the appropriate places and making the whole noise, you know, oh, I can't believe she said that.
Right.
And George is just kind of sitting there. But Isla's the one commenting, and I thought it would go way over her head.
And she's picking up on it.
And so I was like, well, let's watch Sense and Sensibility, you know, like Emma Thompson's version.
I love her, yeah.
She loved it. And I thought Isla would just not get
You thought she wouldn't even want to watch
piece of that.
That's
and
funny.
Was really surprised because I know she's smart, but that's different. You know, like you said, that's not even current English. Right. There's words we don't even have in this language. And I'll stop at the end of the chapter and say, so what happened? And I will go, oh, this is what happened. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you got all of it.
But see, that's perfect because they are emotional creatures right now. Yeah. So they can read emotion. They get that.
I see.
He totally.
Yeah,
he's
I know.
gonna leave her.
We started reading, and she was like, "Oh, I totally ship them."
Yeah, exactly.
I go, "Who do you ship?"
Yeah,
Elizabeth Bennet.
Yeah,
and
Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy. I totally ship them. They hate each other now, but you wait.
Yeah,
you wait.
So funny.
And I totally ship Jane and
totally
Mr. Bennet, or no, not Mr. Bennet, Mr. Bingley. I totally ship them too. And George is just like. Yawn.
Yeah.
Yawn.
Not the thing.
I'm just going to use this time to knit. I'll hear every fourth word.
Right.
I'm just going to keep knitting. Yawn, yawn.
That's very funny.
Yeah, that workaround. And the criminal worries me too because I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but when Isla was really young, she had a lot of sensory processing stuff.
Right.
So I mean, like 45 minutes to get her shoes on.
Yep.
And I ran into a friend who had a son who was having similar issues. And she took him to this institute in Playa del Rey where they put these electrodes on your head and it massages your brain while you like watch a movie. And the theory is, you know, your brain's a muscle. As your brain is growing, it stimulates different growth patterns. And whether it was hooey or not, it completely alleviated a lot of what we were going through.
Yep.
We called it brain camp. So we would go 3 days a week to brain camp, but they do like this whole big scan of your brain. I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's an MRI or whatever.
Usually functional MRIs where they look
probably
and they light up different colors. Yeah.
And it's your brain activity.
Yeah.
And so they were like, your daughter has a hot singlet And I went, what the hell is a hot
You're
singlet?
like, yeah, and should I slap you?
I know, right? What does that mean? Right? And should I slap you? That's so inappropriate.
Yeah, don't talk about her singlet like that.
But they were like, when it's firing hot, I don't even remember what they said, but what I remember
Yeah.
is this institute also helped addicts.
Right.
Right? And they were like, if you have a hot singlet, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be an addict, but every addict has a hot singlet. And I went, fuck.
It's just with impulsivity.
I'm raising an addict. And she's already addicted to like Coca-Cola.
Right.
You know, this is going to be bad. That's been my biggest concern with her, is that one of my biggest concerns is that the thrill and the fun of something is really what she's all about. Like if it's not fun or thrilling, she's really not into it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a recipe for disaster in some ways, because guess what? You still got to pay your taxes. You still got to go to the DMV and get your driver's license. You still got to pull over when the police is chasing you. You know what I mean? You still have to comply with the things those regular folk have to do. And that's not something her hot singlet is really into.
Well, yeah, but those things, again, life finds a way. And those hot singlets pair up with a little boring singlet.
That would be me and Bert, because
Yeah.
Bert's got a hot fucking
That's
singlet.
right. And look what he found. He found the most rooted singlet in town. Like
Yeah,
you are
probably.
like,
I have a doublet.
yeah,
We have a singlet. Well, I hope to God she finds some doublet, because God Almighty, that girl. Sometimes I go, I just don't know how you're gonna get from A to B, and it's interesting
she'll
to me.
find 17 ways to get from A to B.
She probably will. She just can't pay her taxes. But
Maybe she's going to marry
16
an
of them
accountant.
will be
Right,
illegal.
something,
but it'll
right?
be fine.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
it's fascinating to me that her very best friend is Lily.
Yeah.
Who is, I wouldn't say has a hot singlet, or maybe she does.
Might be a doublet.
She might be a doublet.
there you
So
go.
she's already found a doublet.
Right.
Dakota probably has a doublet.
Yeah.
Kylie Hayslip, doublet.
Right.
But that's been something that's always worried me. Ever since he told me that, I went, oh, God.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. It's hard. Don't listen to predictors.
No, he wasn't saying that she was going to be that. That's not what he was saying at all.
No, but he just said she had a hot
He was just
singlet,
saying
right.
the impulsivity.
Yeah.
That's exact. Now that you said that word, I was like, yeah, that is what he
Yeah.
said. He said that she's going to have problems with impulse.
Yep.
And
Guess what? Some of the most creative minds of our time had hot singlets.
Oh,
and
my
problems
husband
with impulse.
definitely has
Ooh, I have an
problems with
idea.
impulse. What?
Ooh, I'm just saying, like Albert Einstein. Like, I mean, so many. What's his name? Elon Musk. Big time. So I bet his singlets
Is on fire.
yeah, on fuego.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
big-
definitely live with one.
Yeah,
Bert is definitely a hot singlet.
they're usually very creative. They're usually very, excitable. They're usually very, they get ideas and they're on fire, and they usually find a doublet to be able to market themselves or carry the idea through, or it's, believe me, it finds a way.
It finds a way. I just want my kids to be happy.
Yep. Well,
That's
that's
my
the
goal.
biggest. So that above all else, with all the college crap and
Yeah.
everything else, I mean, that's my biggest drive
Yeah,
for
me
people,
too.
and to help them understand, like, in the end, does it matter what
No.
college your kid goes to?
No.
If they thrive and they're happy, like, really, when you're pushing them into a box,
Right.
just, I want you to take a step back and think, unhappy, suicidal, or going to a college you don't approve of?
Right.
What matters more to you?
Exactly.
Like, when you,
Yeah.
if you want to think about how fragile they are and how freaked out they are and how, life is so short, and really, what do you want to have matter? You want them to be happy.
Yes.
And when they're happy, they will thrive. They will
I agree.
completely thrive.
Yeah. I know. I
With
was
the minimal intervention from us,
right. That should be the goal for everybody.
Yes.
Just to be happy.
Yeah.
And if everybody would just have that goal, I think we'd have a lot more people in the trade industry, really. People who work with their hands, because there are so many people who are actually wired to work with their hands that feel guilty or ashamed to just be a plumber.
Right.
Or to just be a mechanic, when that's something they really enjoy, and maybe come from a background or a family structure that goes, oh, no, you're going to college.
Yeah.
And I do not have college as a goal for either of my children, although Georgia has already started. Georgia told me, she is so interesting, that kid. I think she was like 40
Yeah.
at birth.
Yeah.
she sat down the other day and she said, I think I want to be a therapist, but I don't want to be a therapist that just sits in the office all day. So I'm not sure what to do about that. And I was like, you're a freshman.
But how great is that?
You're a fucking freshman. Do we really need to figure this out now? That's what my brain's thinking. And I was like, and next week you'll want to be a vet. I don't know. But I said, okay, well, there are all different kinds of therapists. You can be an addiction therapist. You could be a marriage counselor. You could be a child psychologist. You could be a psychiatrist who prescribes medication. You could be
a crisis interventionist.
I said an interventionist.
Yeah.
I said you could be a school counselor.
God knows we need good ones.
Totally, right? One or two. But I was like, my therapist has regular clients. She does marriage and family. She does like regular psychotherapy. And she takes a trip one chunk out of the year, and she goes somewhere and counsels relief workers. And she went, that's what I want to do.
Counsel relief workers.
And I went, okay.
Or like you can do, like I do Give an Hour, which is like vets who need therapy, and you sign up and you take them on for free.
Right.
Or like the crisis that happened in Thousand Oaks. Like
Right.
I called Thousand Oaks police and was like, hey, I'm happy to be on call.
Right.
And they'll call you out.
Right.
In the middle of the night.
Right. Well, I would imagine there's a lot of need.
Yeah.
Well, I know Jackie goes to where there's a big natural disaster.
Right.
Thousand Oaks definitely would qualify, but I know in the past she's gone where I'm so bad at memory, where the big tsunami hit.
Oh, yeah.
She went there. Yes. And she counseled relief workers for 2 weeks. And I said, so the rest of the year, she's just but she's a regular therapist who sees a variety of clients.
Right.
And then that's important to her. So she takes that time every year. She tells all her clients, I'm gone for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And she does that. And she went, okay, I would be really interested in that.
That's so cute.
So we'll see. Her school has this great program where when you're a senior, if you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, they let you homeschool in the library for something specific. Say if you wanted to be a therapist, you would take some homeschool psychology classes. I think they may be even like base college level classes with the librarian is your quote teacher. But in the course of that course, you get to shadow a professional in that profession for 2 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
And then when that's over, you can go, yeah, I like that, or yeah, I don't like that. And they've had so much success with that because kids then have a clearer picture of what they want to do.
Right. They can navigate it easier.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I wanted to do that, but
I don't.
that guy was really boring. So,
well, they gave 2 examples. There was one girl who shadowed a pediatrician who got to watch like a tonsillectomy, who got to see patients, loved it, went on to be a pediatrician. She had a student that wanted to be a vet. They shadowed a vet, shadowed a surgery, came back and went, do not want to do that.
yeah, can't
Do that.
Yep.
So I was like, how amazing is that? And I think they do it. I don't think they do it for the whole year. I think it's 1 semester. And in that semester, they do the shadowing also. So I don't know what else they do in the other semesters.
fantastic.
But she's already thinking about that because she wants to be prepared for that 3 years from now.
Yeah, but how great is it that she's actually got a passion, or she's trying to find her passion?
Well, I think
Yeah.
going to see the therapist about her anxiety was a really positive experience because the therapist was her mission was to get her to manage herself.
Right.
It was not to keep her in therapy.
Right.
And,
As it should be.
her dad has been known to have some chatter that therapists might be podiatrists and they need to pay their bills, so they need you to stay in therapy, which since I've been in therapy since I was 23, I don't agree with.
Right.
Because they've helped me tremendously and I could stop whenever I wanted. I just don't want to.
Right.
But Dr. I don't know if I should say her name. Dr. Was very good about that. She was like, she can handle this. We're going to do this over a few visits, see how she does. Come back if you need help.
Right.
That's it. And I think that made a big impression on her, that
Big time.
she didn't feel like it was a life sentence or, oh my God, you're going to die.
Yeah.
This is overwhelming.
I
It was
get
not
so
that.
pissed when I see in media. I mean, I don't know how many times you've ever seen a therapist portrayed in media. accurately. But I was watching A Million Little Things, and there were so many things they were doing wrong, and I'm like, oh, cringing. But this guy was like, you know, you need to be on antidepressants. And he was like, for how long? He's like, for the rest of your life. And I'm like, that's not true.
Come on.
Why are you telling people this? That's not true. It's just, you know, I always tell my clients, like, it's scaffolding for a bridge. And once the bridge is built, you can try to take the scaffolding off. Like, it depends what they're suffering from. But like, this was garden variety depression. I'm like, shut up. You are miseducating millions right now.
Right.
It just drives me so nuts. But, you know, I think it's just, I don't know. It's great that she has the opportunity to see that and to try it out right now, and to kind of get an understanding of what it might be like, and, you know, and not be miseducated, and to experience it. It's so different that they get to experience it at such a young age. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really cool program.
It's trying on different hats. You
Yeah,
know?
it is. They encourage that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I really am very happy with her school. But
It's very cool.
But yeah, she's going to therapy with me in December, and the whole session will just be her talking to Jackie about what it's like to be a therapist.
Nice.
Which I think is really cool too, so she can, you know, get some information, make some decisions. So she's probably going to college.
Yeah.
The other one,
Well, depending on what she wants to do. Yeah.
we'll see about Isla Kreischer. And if she goes to college, that's great. But if she doesn't, I really don't care. I just
Yeah.
want her to be happy. And for her, happy is not going to look like a therapist, or I don't think that those types of jobs would make her happy.
Oh, she could take a gap year and figure something out.
Totally.
Too.
I think that's so healthy.
They're so good, gap years. I know they were so poo-pooed in our day, but they're amazing. I've seen so many kids grow.
Have you?
Oh my God, yes. The parents are so freaked out, though. They're not going to ever come back to school. I'm like, because they're never going to need to work.
Right?
Like, you know, they know they're just deferring for a year. They got accepted. They're deferring for a year. They're taking a gap year. It's fantastic. It's like the most I've ever seen any kid mature has been on a gap year.
Really?
Yeah. But they actually go and do something.
Right.
They're not sitting at home for the year. Like,
What do
they're
the kids
traveling,
typically
and
do? They travel?
Yeah, they'll travel. They'll get into like a program that's extended, and they'll go to like London, or they'll travel. It costs money.
Right.
It's not as much money as college tuition for the year, and it's not traveling for the entire year.
Right.
But they volunteer. They'll go to Honduras and do Habitats for Humanity. I mean, it's insane what they learn and what they appreciate. And then they get to college, and they're like, this is so easy. Why are you guys complaining? Like, there are people that are homeless. There are people that have to carry buckets of water on their head from a well 20 miles away with blisters on their feet. Like, they've seen the other side of the world and its realities.
Right.
You know? And then they come back prepared to like do what they need to do to get out there to go help again, or in a bigger capacity, you know,
Right.
where education can't get them, lack of education can't get them where they need to go.
Right.
So it's amazing. I've seen people really trifold increase their responsibility.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think Isla would do really well with that. Georgia would too.
Yeah. It's neat.
What
to
do you
watch them
think
unfold.
about Max and Lily? Well, Max is already planning on going to college.
Max has been
Max
planning
is-
on like he's like,
Max
I'm going to
has already filled out
MIT.
his-
I was like, what are you
filled out
talking
his
about? Like,
applications.
he
Right.
is
He bought his first suit. His pants are just 2 inches too short.
Right.
Very
He likes
true.
his pants short.
Yeah. They'll fit in great at MIT.
Yeah,
That's exactly how they
He
were.
will be great at MIT.
Yeah.
So we're going to improve on Fortnite. Who's ready?
Right. I have an algorithm.
true.
So
Yeah, it's a little bit scary actually. He's very college driven. Like, I have to go to college. I'm like, slow down a minute. Like, let's just hold on a second. And he had a whole plan up until this year. He was going to be an engineer. He was going to be a Lego designer. That was his lifelong
I remember
goal.
hearing about that.
It's been his goal forever.
Yeah.
And this year he is really, really loving geometry, and he loves to draw. And he's like, you know, I really, really am interested in architecture. Like these, and he's like really been very serious about it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Well, there's an engineering element in architecture. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much so.
That's where Wade
But
was
I'm
lost.
like, you know, you're
He was like, I really like architecture. I really hate engineering. Bye-bye.
right.
Frank
He
Lloyd
loves
Wright might have been
both,
lost there
but,
too.
I'm like, you're 14.
Yeah.
Like, go draw some stuff. Go figure it out. But
Yeah.
You're like, where's
know,
the knife at your back? Who's holding it?
Yeah, right. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's
I did have the conversation with him a while ago. I was like, if you don't go to college, it's okay. Mom.
Oh, God.
What are you talking about?
Are you trying to give me drugs?
Never mind.
What's going on?
Forget I said anything. You have to
Right,
go.
and marijuana's not the gateway drug either, right? Right?
My
Yeah.
God.
What are you peddling, woman?
I know. Seriously.
That's very funny.
So what is the biggest, scariest thing you see in kids our age or older happening now?
Oh, God. I mean, I would say at this age, drugs.
It's drugs?
Yep.
What
Already.
drugs?
Vaping, smoking pot, vaping with pot. It just depends on the kid and how advanced they are. The more precocious they are, the worse it is.
Yeah.
The more advanced they are socially, the further along, the closer they are to circling the drain.
Circling the drain. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, getting ready to just kind of hold pattern, please.
Oh, my
Hold for
goodness.
landing. they're gonna be there a while. Yeah, it's hard, and a lot of the parents, I would say, don't have a clue.
The parents don't have a clue that the kids are doing drugs? Really?
Juuling, vaping, vape pens, they're not tech savvy enough to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. They see a little USB drive in the side of the computer and they think it's like a memory stick and it's for a vape pen. And the kids are wearing hoodies at school and they're vaping and they're blowing it out in the hoodie so no one can see the...
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is kind of scary. There's vape pens at Isla's school.
Yes, there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, she thinks it's gross.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
It is
Well, and
gross.
Thinking that.
Yeah, I've educated a few kids about, so have you ever seen the data or the research? And I'll bring in like documentation, like actual research showing how much nicotine, is in them and how kids are just taking it the one after another because it tastes like strawberry, it tastes like pina colada, it tastes like unicorn poop or whatever flavor it is, literally marketed to kids.
Right.
And look at how much nicotine you're getting. It's like the kiddo who sit there and just keep popping cookies without looking at the calories. Like,
Right.
oh my God, you're gonna be a house in 2 days. Like,
Right.
it's the same thing
Right.
with the vape pens because it doesn't. The one thing that cigarettes do, they stop you from smoking more because you get sick so fast from it.
Right.
But the vape pens don't have that effect.
They don't.
They just have that lovely
So funny.
taste.
Actually, we were listening to a Juul commercial on the radio the
Yeah.
other day. And Max goes, wait a minute. How come this isn't illegal?
Right, that
you
they're
can't
advertising.
advertise cigarettes. How can you advertise this? It has nicotine. I was like,
Yeah.
God, I love the way you think. Don't
Yeah, right?
ever touch it.
Yeah. Right.
But I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. How is that
Yeah.
allowed? Forget the fact that it's completely marketed towards children. And all the various flavors. But
Right.
yeah,
No,
that
it's
is
crazy.
actually one of my big fears for him is that he is massively impulsive. He might have a hot singlet and like he can't stop. Like if he has a soda, he's got to have 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if there's something that's good, I was like, God, you taste alcohol, you taste pot,
Yeah.
like, and you like it. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
You
are screwed.
You got to educate them, to know what their
like
triggers
that
are and their patterns
scares me is
Yeah.
that his lack of impulse control when he tries something like that
Yeah.
and enjoys it, then
I'll tell
It'll
kids
be.
when I see them, do you know your family history? Mm-hmm. Do you have a grandpa that's a drinker? Do you have a mom that's a drinker? Do you have an aunt that's a drinker? Do you, oh yeah, that one, Thanksgiving, oh crap. I'm like, okay, so in the bloodline, kid, you know what that means?
we talk about his addictive personality.
Yeah.
I was like, when you get off video games, you're an asshole.
Right.
You need 15 minutes to decompress and then you can join the rest of the world.
Right.
But the fact, like the second you get in the car, you're on your phone and I have to take it away from you.
Yeah.
Like that is a bit of an addiction.
Right.
Like
Oh,
you
it's
need
big time
to
an
like
addiction.
be away from that screen. And the fact that the second you have a calm, you go to a screen, that's an addictive personality. Like
Right.
you have to understand that that looks like something different when it's not just a screen.
Right.
It's bad enough that it's a screen, but
So
I don't know.
recognizing it is half
we
the
talk
battle.
about it a lot,
Right.
and we put it out there, but
And that
I don't know,
message
when
gets-
he's 16 and presented with it, or 14 and presented with it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
they'll
what
they'll
is
be
his
talking
choice?
about addictive personalities, and he'll be
No,
like,
I know,
"Oh,
but when
have
he's put in
one."
that situation, is he going
Yeah.
to recognize it?
They-
Because
they're-
he's out fishing.
There comes a
Or
moment,
Fortniting,
but
you
there
know?
comes a moment where an out fishing, especially when primal brain, the messages they get as a kid are the ones that are the only ones that are present in a
Yeah.
crisis. You know, like, do I do this or do I not?
Right.
Let's
You
hope.
have an addictive personality. Huh. You know, like, you know, that'll flash.
Right.
You know?
Well, let's hope. Well,
I
we
hope
have
so.
these conversations too. Isla's similar. We call it our 50%.
Yeah.
Yes.
50% of my kids impulse control.
Yep.
Other 50% a little too controlled.
Yep.
Sometimes. So we talk to them about what drugs and alcohol do to a developing brain.
Yep.
So that if you are choosing to drink or smoke pot, you are choosing to alter the way your brain develops. Now, it may not alter it if you do it one time, but if you do it over and over and over again, it will alter your human growth and development. Until you're
Conversely, I will tell you the one-time stories are very important too, because I knew a child growing up that did pot one time, and they were at a concert and they got a joint from somebody that was somebody's friend, and it was laced, and they went bananas.
Oh, God.
So, because it was laced with PCP. Gnarly. I had another friend who did it and had Bell's palsy reaction. Half her face was paralyzed.
Oh, my God.
Never returned.
Okay,
So
I can definitely
the
tell those two
one-
stories
The one
to
time,
my children.
The one-time stories that actually are verifiable that happened, and I give them, these are my friends' names.
Right.
You know, and we can look up their Facebook profile, and you can see a picture of her. You
Half
know,
a face. Right,
face
right.
drooping on half a side. So, you know, I am fine letting those life lessons educate.
Other people.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's been the approach we've taken for them. It's your body, it's your choice,
Yep.
but you are then choosing to alter your growth and development.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make that choice, then you have to know that's the consequence.
Yeah.
And mom and dad drink. I'm 48.
Right.
My brain's fully set. 23 or so, your brain's fully set.
Yeah.
So until you're 23, it's a choice to kind of possibly alter
Right.
your growth and development. So Isla is so scared of ailments that that's the one thing that I think may waylay the impulsivity.
Yeah.
Is that she goes, oh my gosh. But I'll tell her about the Bell's palsy and then she'll never do it. I'm not going to have a drooping face. No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that could happen. That's really scary.
It is scary.
It is scary.
That's really scary.
It was crazy.
What do you think is the biggest mistake parents make nowadays?
Oh my God. So my favorite new thing that I heard we talk about helicopter parents.
Yeah.
Then somebody said, well, what about lawnmower parents? Because they're like making a perfect line for their kid to follow behind. They're literally pushing. The newest one I've heard, and I'm just running with it, is curling parents.
Curling?
You ever watch curling?
Yeah.
No.
Where they're cleaning the ice right in front of the thing. Like literally like every microscopic piece of anything that's in front of that stone, and then they watch it go, and then they come back and they shovel it again, and you're like, oh my God. That's what I'm seeing in my practice.
Really?
These parents that are just smoothing, it is like glass in front of the kids' path. I mean, there's no bumps, there's no divots, there's no nothing for them to navigate. It's all been sterilized.
Okay,
You know-
so have you read this book, The Coddling of the American Mind?
No.
Okay, you need to read that book.
Okay. Does it talk about curling parents?
No, they call it bulldozer parents, where they
yeah.
bulldoze a path where there's absolutely no adversity. There's nothing in their path.
Yeah, but you need to watch curling and then see it to just watch
'Cause it's
the
so
event.
precise.
Just watch the event
yeah, that
and
makes
watch
sense.
how fervently they just clean the ice. Like it's,
Right.
with such passion, and like they are very serious about it, and they are very angry.
Oh my goodness.
Like, that's really. But I will definitely
That
check
book,
that out.
I heard them talk about it on NPR, and
Tell
then
me again.
It's
It's-
called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Coddling.
And it's on my website. I've already put a link on wifeotp.com.
Okay.
Kathy and Kirsten and I are supposed to be reading it. I just started it. So, and it's like a 230-page book. It's not super crazy long.
Okay.
But these two professors, one is a a First Amendment law professor, and the other one is a psychology professor, I think, at NYU. I'm not 100% sure about that, so don't quote me on that, but I know that that's what they do as professors. Started noticing a big change in the student body and how kids were so much less resilient. So they wanted to research that. And this book is their findings in that research. And one of the things he was saying is that they bulldoze a path and there's no adversity. So the kids are showing up extremely fragile.
Yeah, they are.
And they can't manage.
They're veal.
And he was on Bill Maher the other night. I just happened to be watching real time, and he was the special guest at the table, one of the authors. And he said, in their research, they found a 70% increase in female suicide.
Yeah.
And like a 25% in male.
iGen, the book iGen.
Oh, that's the one I'm reading right now. I have to finish that before I start coddling.
Yeah,
this sounds very similar to How to Raise an Adult, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, which is who I love, the one who was the Stanford admissions.
Right.
person.
Very
my
similar.
God, she's fantastic. But yeah, also iGen talks about the suicide rate has rocketed. That they're so in their phones and they're talking digitally and they're not hanging out with each other and they don't know how to interact with each other. And so sex is down and drugs is down.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, woohoo. And you're like, yeah, no, but suicide's way up because the isolation, we are not isolative creatures.
No, we are tribal.
So it is not working. You know,
Right.
something's broke.
Yeah, I did hear that statistic that sex is happening less. And the risk taking seems to be risk taking.
Right.
And
Well, we're breeding a bunch of anxiety-ridden kids. They don't want to drive.
Yeah, no,
they
don't
want to
wanna
Uber.
drive,
Like everything, because everything has been pruned.
Yeah. Right.
They're freaked out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Just not super healthy.
No.
So that's your number one, is that parents are curling.
They are.
They've become curlers.
They are. And the kids are coming in with things that are like, I did this, and I'm like, so what?
Right.
How'd you fix it? Well, my mom. How'd you fix it?
Right.
Well, my mom called the teacher. How are you going to fix it next time?
Right,
guess I
because
can talk to my teacher.
I see what you mean. The parents are fixing it for them.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, and not making them take
Right,
responsibility.
so these kids don't know how to advocate for themselves.
Right.
Now, conversely, when I've talked to the parents about it and they see that, thank God the parents I get to work with are like, oh, that is not the effect I intend on having.
Right.
Let me back that up.
Right.
And they'll, go a different way. But it's hard when you've bred a kid that's used to having somebody clean it up all the time.
Right.
Because they want to be independent, and yet they're like, but wait.
Yeah, that is I have to say that some of that is hard to figure out, for me with Isla, because I want her.
Necessary.
Some of it's necessary, but in that necessity, I feel like I'm doing her a disservice.
So here's the other thing I like to think about. If you always carry with you intention, and you know what your intention is, and you speak to that with the kids and say, I am helping you with this now. I'm helping you with your scheduling now, Max, but you need to pay attention. Next time when we plan this, I want you to start looking at the calendar and think what's on the calendar. I have to do the same thing with Sid. Isla, I'm helping you clean out your folder now, but tomorrow night I want you to come home and I want you to remember to clean your folder out.
Right.
And if I remind you, I want you to not have a fit about it.
Right.
And so that you might be helping her, but you're also at the same time educating her that this is a necessary thing for you to be able to do that I'm not always going to be able to help you with.
Right.
So I'm going to pass the baton at some point.
Right.
As opposed to just doing it and getting it done with and not discussing it. The meta communication needs to happen. You need to have the talk about like, by the way, I've noticed that you really are trying to keep all your stuff in your folder. I appreciate it.
Right.
Or by the way, I love that you made this plan for 3 days. I'm so sorry I screwed it up by telling you about Friday. But, just giving it to him, like giving him the little, good job on that. I'm sorry I had to tweak it, but keep going. It's that talking about how they're becoming more responsible so that they enjoy getting the responsibility,
Yeah, I know
because
exactly.
it's scary. Like it feels to me like, and this is the message I'm getting from the kids I treat, it feels like they keep getting asked more and more of them at school. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at what they're getting asked to do in school,
insane.
but it is insane. Like if I had to go back to school, I'd be screwed right now. Like my brain could not tolerate what they're asked to do in school right now.
I agree with you.
So I feel like they get asked to do more and more, and then we raise the bar more and more, and they feel that, and then they don't get very much credit for what they're actually doing.
Right. I just had this talk this morning with Kathy Reisinger, who's Tatum's mom, called me this morning about something, and we were talking about how her daughter is forgetting to turn stuff in, and her daughter is like gifted, massive straight A student, hit high school, and she either has like A's or F's, and the F's are because she didn't turn it in.
Right.
And I said to her, you know, when we were kids, you turned it in at school the next day.
Right.
Now, one teacher wants it uploaded to Google Docs. The next teacher wants it uploaded to Schoology. The next teacher wants it turned in person. The next teacher, I'm like, how do you keep up with that? As I can't keep up with it.
Right.
But each teacher has such a different set of expectations that is really, I would imagine that would be very anxiety producing and really hard to manage. And I think it is completely wrong.
Yeah.
They should all use the same portal. Everything goes into Schoology or everything goes
they
into
don't.
Google Docs, but they don't. Each teacher, I have one teacher who thinks Schoology, which is our LAUSD's portal, he thinks it's stupid.
Right. So he refuses to use it.
So no, he'll post grades there. But if we want to know anything about an assignment, we have to go to his website and navigate his personal website, which makes 80% makes sense. 20% you're going, I don't know where the hell this thing is.
Right.
And I'm 48.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, I'm trying to inspire my daughter to be independent, but I can barely be independent in this context.
Right.
So how am I expecting my dyslexic, I don't really enjoy school and I don't really care if I have an F, to really plug in and be in this super diverse, unpredictable, I think, because she can't remember which teacher puts assignments on Schoology consistently.
Right.
So then we have to check every class every day,
All the time.
It's like a fact finding mission daily. So it's terrible.
You should ever make a list.
God we don't have
this
that,
teacher,
'cause-
Schoology. This teacher.
But it's not consistent either.
Oh, they'll
the
change.
math teacher
Like
just suddenly started. He put 2 assignments on Schoology and has never done it again. So then I'm like, well, we should.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God
I
we
had
checked
that.
Schoology, because he didn't even let us know he put those assignments on Schoology. So now we're checking it anyway. So, and then Georgia has similar issues at her school, even though they use the same portal. Each teacher has a different expectation. Some of them want them turned in digitally. Some of them want them printed out and turned in. Some of them want them in a box. Some of them, and you're
Right.
like, oh my
Physically,
God, it's so hard to manage. And that's just none of that's about learning. None of that's about learning. There's no history in
No,
that.
it's about
There's no
executive
science.
function.
It's
It's
all
about
executive
functioning,
function.
yeah.
Instead of just
Which
saying,
none of them have right now.
Right. That's
This
the-
is like the
but
worst age to
they're gone
try
fishing.
all of that stuff.
I know. I have to go. I'm sorry.
you have to go?
I
I'm
do.
sorry. It was long.
On the executive functioning note, which none of them have, one school that I know of has a class on executive functioning. That's it.
Oh, yeah?
I think all of them should have it. How to organize your life, how to calendar,
That's interesting.
how to...
We do. You can opt to do a summer school for like a week. It's like a 9 to 12 for 1 week before going into middle school.
Yeah, see, and who's
And
gonna, I mean,
actually- yeah,
I think
no.
it should be part of the curriculum.
I
think so too.
Yeah.
Life skills.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Sorry.
No, please don't say sorry. I could talk for
kidding.
4 hours. I lose track of time. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I'm kidding.
And for all your advice.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And for sharing.
And the bitching.
The
moaning.
bitching's always
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, it's
That's
helpful.
always
helpful.
It is.
All right. Thanks.